Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon to go through the Enable product introduction webinar. Myself, I work in the business development team for QBS MSP, and today we are joined by a very special guest, Francesco. Francesco is the Director of Sales for MSP distribution. And what we'll be going through today is why Enable, and then going through product by product. So we'll be looking at N-Central, the RMM platform, security, and backup. And then from the QBS side of things, we'll then cover the summary of the opportunity and a call to action. So yeah, I'd like to bring in Francesco now to run through.
Thank you, Sean. I hope you can hear me well.
Yep, all fine here.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for QBS for the opportunity, and welcome to the webinar. Thanks for taking the time. As Sean mentioned, my name is Francesco Di Bartolo. I'm Director of Sales here at Enable. Been with the company for now 8 years. Probably Enable is ringing more a bell if I mention the name SolarWinds MSP or Logic now, GFMX, back to the time when it was SoundTalk. So I've been with the company for quite some time, and I'm going to be your host today. So what we thought is that since we started recently our partnership with QBS in the UK, just to give a brief overview of our portfolio, some of our products, and how they can help you, when it comes to provide support to your end customers. So first of all, why the Enable? So Enable, our main mission is to power the MSPs and to empower you guys with powerful technology that is built, on your business. We see ourselves as a vendor who strives to earn your business every day. We focus on your success because if you are successful, then we are going to be successful. We develop our solutions by keeping in mind the secure by design, and we are also publicly traded as with the acronym Enable on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, to give some numbers and facts, we've been in the industry for more than 20 years. As I mentioned, different rebrandings, technologies, and acquisitions that we have done. But today we serve more than 25,000 MSPs on a monthly basis, retrieving an invoice from us and protecting their customers, which corresponds roughly to 500,000 small, medium enterprises. And there's approximately 7 million of devices communicating on a daily basis through our platforms. In addition to this, we have been awarded several times by, technologies, by the press. So I think we know pretty well our business, and we're here to help you as well become successful. Hybrid infrastructure, so applications that are going to be more and more towards the cloud, but also they are going to be confronted with growing cyber threats, right? So I believe everybody, even if not working on a daily basis with the IT industry, is hearing from the news or from different aspects that cyber attacks are happening. And obviously there are concerns about the high costs of IT because they want to have a secure environment, they want to work, maybe they're not operating in the IT, they are doing other things, but they need IT in order to perform their jobs. And keeping everything safe and up and running has a cost which concerns them. As well, big topics in all our mouth is the pandemic, the current situation where people are not always working from the office where they used to be working on, but they're now, working from home, where they need to have a secure environment as well at home, which meets the same standards that they would have when, operating from the office, right? So these are the challenges that we see from the small, medium enterprises, the business challenges. When we speak to MSPs, people like you, we see different challenges, right? So obviously, in order to have good reliance on IT, the MSPs are struggling with providing automation in order to remediate and provide quick responses to a solution, right? On the hybrid infrastructure, we want to be able to provide good monitoring across different tools, right? Tools that are on the local networks, but tools that are also operating external. Against the growing cyber attacks, MSPs are concerned about, the secure environments. How do we secure their environments in order to provide stability and not face undesired surprises, and also on the high cost of IT, there is a commoditization pressure which increases on a daily basis. And for the hybrid workers, MSPs are going to or have managed this current situation pretty well by adding more security to employees by providing 2FA password identification, VPN connection, securing the employee to work from home as they would enjoy the same security standards from being in the same company. Now, how we can help against these threats is that on the automation part, if you are not familiar with our solution, so we have a lot of automation inside our dashboard, which provides you a single pane of glass that allows you to monitor and receive alerts and take remote control for all your customers and devices. Obviously, we support great monitoring capabilities, not only for server workstations and mobile devices, but there's also an advanced monitoring platform which allows you to monitor also external components like switches, routers, or also products that are not from our portfolio, which could be a backup solution from a different vendor, but you want to monitor if this has been operating successful. Against the growing cyber attacks, I have a slide later which talks about the layered security. There's a big offering from our side when it comes to the security portfolio. And for the high costs and on how to optimize them, as I mentioned, in our solution, there's a lot of automation built in, right? So repetitive tasks can be automated and performed by a device rather than by a single person. And with automation, it could be like, for example, clearing the browser cache or creating a new user on my domain controller. There's a huge portfolio of automation building blocks available in our tool that can be leveraged with a very simple way on configuring them, which allows you to save a lot of time and optimize also your internal costs and be able also to manage more customers, more devices with the same amount of people. And for the last bullet item, the secure and manage, we can provide remote monitoring, remote control, and obviously risk management across our solutions, which allow you also to provide a very secure environment to your hybrid workers that are now spread all over the place due to the current situation. So then another thing is that we help you to grow, right? So if we look at the MSP markets, we are saying we would like to segment our market into three different pillars. So there's the reactive MSP, and what the reactive MSP means is that those type of MSPs, they don't offer generally a solution, but they always operate on demand of their end customers. So the phone rings, the end customer has a problem. In normal time, he would take the car, drive over the customer, and build time versus money, right? So the classical block hour approach or break fix approach, which could be very lucrative, but it's very unpredictable because always needs to rely on something that doesn't work and a phone call that happens or an email, a request in order you to provide assistance. Then there is the mid segment, which is the proactive. In this case, we see MSPs that have tailored small bundles and are picking up solutions, for example, from our portfolio, which they sell to their customer and are saying, dear customer, if you want me to manage your IT or you want to outsource your IT, this is the package that I'm offering you. And it includes monitoring, AV, backup, web protection, and this is the price that I'm charging to you, right? And then we have the Champions League, which is called the managed. And in the managed, we see that the MSP is not anymore an external company that manages the devices, but it becomes the virtual CTO. So he decides what type of hardware, software, switches, routers, cables, everything that is related to IT needs to be used for that company. Why? Because in the first two buckets, you always have a component which is time versus money. that you're going to be able to charge. While on the managed category, we see MSPs building a sort of flat rate programs, which means the price is much higher for the service. But in case something is not working, it's up on the MSP to take care of this, and he's not charging additional money for this. So that's why he wants to be sure that everything that is in place is, first of all, working by automation, and secondly, is very rock solid. So in order that if something is not working, I'm not losing a lot of money by fixing the problem. Now, these three categories obviously have also an impact on your business valuation, right? So if we look at the reactive one, so the gross profit, because you need always to wait something that happens, is very unpredictable, and it's actually a 50%. While the most interesting thing is the last line, which is the business valuation. So if you're looking to sell your business at some point, it has a value of zero point 0.3 on the dollar, the pound, the euro, based on which currency you want to see, of value, right? So given that you don't know how much money you're making by not being able to predict how many issues your customers will face during the course of the timeline, it's very difficult to estimate a proper value, right? Those people that are operating on the proactive one is slightly different. Given that we have decided already a clear program that the customer needs to use, my gross profit is much higher. And I have also built in automation that is handling this. So if I'm looking to sell my business, the valuation is 1.5, right? And if you are operating more on the managed one, that's where the gross profit is pretty high. It's above 75%. You have everything done by automation. Your technicians are focusing mainly on new issues, new technology. You don't need to pay for these dead periods where you don't have nothing to do, but you still need to pay your employees. But when it comes to sell your business, it has a much bigger business valuation, right? It goes from 1.5 to 2.8. And we believe that with our solutions, our learning process, and our material that we provide you to become a more successful MSP, we can, bring you to the journey from the reactive to the managed. Now, when you start with us, it's not that you are going to transition to the managed with all your customers, right? There might be still customers that are better off on the reactive or some on the proactive, and a couple of them will be on the managed. But this is what you need to think when you approach your customers as an MSP on how you transition your business and what type of services you're going to provide to your customers. Now, when we look at our products, right? So one important thing is that as being an MSP vendor, all our products are multi-tenant. So you have one dashboard, and in this dashboard, you can replicate all your customers, all your devices, all their sites. So you don't need to log in, log off as with other vendors in order to manage them. But you have one single pane of glass, and you will hear me saying this word pretty often because it's really the power of saving time and having a clear overview on what's happening. We develop our things by keeping in mind the secure by design approach. So there is IP limitation, there's two-factor authentication. So there's everything in order to make you sleep better. A lot of automation is built in, and we have also an ecosystem. So there's plenty of partners that we partner with that are part of our platform. There's also a big list of vendors that are integrated already in our platform. So if you don't want to use entirely our portfolio, you can use a different vendor for example, a backup or a main technology, and you can monitor them within the same platform. We have two types of monitoring platforms. One is a pure SaaS based, and one is a self-managed, which can be either hosted on our data center, or you can host it on your own infrastructure, or AWS or Azure if you prefer. And when it comes to the security, there is a variety of products within our portfolio. There is a password and documentation management tool. There is the endpoint protection, which is powered by SentinelOne. patch management, not only for Windows patches, but also for third-party patches. DNS filtering is one of the features that is going to be available very soon, but there's already the web protection functionality built in. We have a solution for mail protection and archiving, and a risk intelligence is a sort of data analyst and vulnerability management tool, which allows you to assess what type of data is in your network or device. And then for the data protection, there's also a backup and recovery and disaster solution, which is a very powerful tool, which I'm going to highlight a bit more in detail as we move on. And this is the technology that we provide. But with Enable, it's not only about technology, but it's also about the collaterals and the education that we provide to our customers. So first of all, we have a partner success team, which is there to help you. We provide, support team. We have onboarding via our distribution or via our sales engineers. We have head nerds, which are sales engineers on our side that are focused and tasked on a specific topic, could be automation, backup, security, and provide trainings and courses on how you can optimize the usage of your dashboard. The MSP Institute is a learning platform that is accessible to you, which offers hundreds of hours and content at your disposal, and it's totally for free to access it as long as you are an Enable customer. The Market Builder is a tool which allows you as an MSP to drive marketing campaigns to your end customers and get potentially new leads out of them. Professional services, it's like we help you to configure things in a certain way. We have growth strategists that are here to analyze your usage and decide jointly with you on how you can adopt the next feature and what is the best way to implement this across your customers. And one of the greatest things that I'm very proud of is the community. As I mentioned, there's more than 25,000 MSPs retrieving our using our products on a monthly basis and retrieving an invoice from us. So there is a big community that can be interacted with, and you can exchange and share your thoughts and your ideas with them. And there's always somebody that replies. So it's not just technology that we offer, but we have a big part of our business support that is also at your disposal. Just a different view of the product. So as I mentioned, we have two monitoring platforms, which makes us also pretty unique in the market. So one is the Enable and N-Central, which is primarily available as a hosted, as an on-premise solution, but it can also be available hosted. And one is the Enable RMM, which is a pure cloud pay-as-you-go solution. As you can see, the features underneath those two platforms are nearly identical. The main difference is that N-Central is probably more heavier on the technical and on the automation part and goes deeper into certain monitoring aspects, while the RMM is much easier to configure and it's probably purely designed for somebody that wants to start to become an MSP. Nevertheless, on both platforms, we have customers with thousands of devices, and it's up to you to decide also by having a conversation with QBS, which is the best platform to use. The tools below, as I mentioned them before, they are either integrated into the solution, right? Or they can be also retrieved as a standalone solution from our side. So if you don't like our monitoring platform because you have an alternative vendor, which is fine, but you like our backup solution, you can just buy the backup solution and then at a later stage decide to move over to the platform if this is part of your requirements. There are also, several ways on how we empower you to become more successful. First of all, it's all about managing and automate and troubleshoot. The automations that is built in our technology allows you to very quickly identify issues and via the alerts that are going to be generated and have built-in automation to remediate potential issues like self-healing processes and so on. The other thing is the platform, which is flexible. It's a platform that allows you to grow and scale. So if you need more devices, you just install them and your bill goes higher. If you need less, you just remove them and your bill goes lower, right? Um, I mentioned the strong IT security. The control is that we can bring complex networks and have everything built in one overview that allows you to manage and control everything from one single pane of glass. Um, you can customize certain things. You can customize the view. You can, for example, give certain technician access to a certain type of customers and features that they can amend. Other technicians should not have access to those type of customers, or you can give also access to your customers if they manage themselves up to a certain aspects. And obviously, it's pretty secure, right? So there's a build trust with your clients when it comes to IT security. I mentioned the two-factor authentication. I mentioned the IP limitation, and everything that helps you to provide a secure environment to your customers. When it comes to the RMM, so RMM handles nearly every type of devices. We support, Windows, Linux, and Apple devices in our platform. You can customize your checks. You have the ability to connect a PSA technology or a ticketing system, which collects all those alerts and then is going to be handled via your support department so that they can track their time versus the money that it's costing you internally to solve the problem. And it's a very nice and easy to use solution because you can get up and running within a couple of hours. The other solution that I mentioned is the N-Central. N-Central is a bit more complex in technical aspects, but offers so much more when it comes to automation and when it comes to self-healing. So it goes very deep in the technical aspects. As well, it supports Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, as well as iOS and Android devices. And it allows you to manage certain devices based on profiles. So, for example, if you install a probe in your network, it scans the entire networks and it shows you what type of devices have been found, and it suggests you immediately by its own technology what type of checks you should leverage in order to monitor those devices. Obviously, ESX and Hyper-V is also supported both on a hardware or guest level, and this is only not only available on the N-Central but also on the RMM. When it comes to the enable backup, our backup solution is very powerful, and it's not a solution that should hide against other important names that are in the market. So it's built for the cloud. It's a cloud first backup. You don't need to deal with hardware. We have more than 30 data centers worldwide that we leverage with all type of certification and security parameters that they need to comply with. There are several flexible recovery options, which could be bare metal restore, virtual recovery, hot standby devices, continuous recovery. It's doing also a recovery testing. Often MSPs are doing a backups, but they don't have a recovery testing scenario with their customers, which they repeat on a monthly base. Well, with us, you can automate this completely to 100%. The device does a backup, and every time he does a backup, he can do a restore as well and send a screenshot to you and your customer showing the device is booting up normally. And so you have a more secure, much better secure thought about, the stability of these devices in case something is happening. It's very easy to use. It not only backs up workstations, servers, and virtual environment, but it also backs up Microsoft 365 when it comes to mail, SharePoint, and OneDrive. So, and everything is one single overview as well. As you can see on the bottom right side, the screenshot, there is, you as an MSP, for example, all the devices, all the customers that you're managing. You have a nice overview on how successful the backup were. It can archive at several points in time. You can do a backup even every hour if you want. It's super fast and it doesn't have any impact on your bandwidth. And in addition to store the data in our data center, you can also have a local speed vault, that's how we call it, which could be a NAS, for example, and have the exact replication of the cloud stored data also locally in case you want to restore it from the local, network. The next product that I want to highlight is the Enable Endpoint Detection and Response, and it's powered by Sentinel-1. As you are probably familiar with this name, it's one of the most successful vendors currently in the markets, which is promoting their, let's say, next generation AV. What we have done is that we have taken this technology, which is actually primarily available for enterprise customers of a certain size, which requires big upfront investment, but we've taken that solution, built it into our technology, and is available also from one single device if you need it, right? So you don't need to make big upfront investments if you want to provide a certain type of technology to your customers, but you can roll it out from our solution directly. It's super powerful because it offers also a new variety of cybersecurity threat remediation technologies, which makes you also have a different conversation with your customer when it comes to security rather than selling traditional AVs. When it comes to own the risk conversation, I think MSPs are starting now to be more in a sort of consultant when it comes to security. So, 15 years ago, probably you were happy if the customer was buying, a firewall, some antivirus, and probably you had some WSUS, which took care of the patch management. Today, I think security is becoming more complex, and there's also more layers of security required. So I was mentioning the layered security. So at the center of our circle, right, we have our data. And then there's different type of security that we need to consider and discuss with our end customers today. So first of all, when it comes to protecting our data, we have the EDR technology, which can provide a rollback in case of an infection, with a backup that can provide a restore. There are standby systems and there's automated testing, right? And above this data, we need to think about traditional antivirus or endpoint detection. We need to have a patch management layer because, as patching Windows is fine, but the majority of updates are probably happening on the third party. Just think at all the Adobes, the Chromes, the Firefox updates that are coming out on a monthly base, and often they are not managed because it would be too cost intense for you, and probably the customer is not caring about this at all. But you can have this completely automated. A very important layer is the user training, right? And I'm talking here about telling employees of a customer to not click on every link they're seeing on the email, and to have strong passwords, to implement 2FA and multi-factor authentication. The firewall, which protects the network from external accesses and also internal outbounding requests. And then obviously at the first layer would be the mail protection and DNS filtering, right? So trying to protect incoming emails and DNSs requests, which are getting also more important and sophisticated when using the internet. So all of this can be combined into nice packages of security. And if you remember one of my early slides, we have the break fix, the proactive, and the managed. And based on what your bundles will look like, you can decide what type of technologies can be leveraged from our platform and offer this as a service to your customers. Now, if we focus again on the endpoint detection and response, I mentioned this is more than just a traditional AV, right? Because it provides you protection from executables, fileless attacks, documents which have threads in it, scripts. So there's much more. But one of the very exciting feature from SentinelOne, of the way we market it, the EDR, is the rollback functionality. SentinelOne claims that they have 7 type of AI-based search engine, which make it nearly impossible that something is passing my network rules and infecting my device. But if something is happening, there's always the rollback, which allows you within a single click to restore everything, which is based on VSS or Windows shadow copy to the last working model. And it's very nice because it's happened within a couple of minutes and everything is back to where it was. So and they're saying if you need to use this button, it means that our 7 engines have failed. So you probably won't use this button at all. It's a very nice tool, super fast. So I highly recommend to look this, especially if you have customers, and I'm sure you have customers that had to be dealing with ransomware. They are very keen to pay the extra pound for having additional security to prevent these type of issues happening again. As I mentioned, it has a very nice price tag, and QBS is happy to provide you more information on this because you don't need to make upfront big investments, but you can start from low amount of devices. It's monthly billing, it's pay as you grow, and you don't need to do annual prepayments in order to leverage this solution. So that's as a quick overview of our portfolio. As you have seen, there is much more that we can provide, but I would like to hand it back now to Sean.
Thanks, Francesco. Yes, so thanks everyone again for joining us today. If there's one thing you could take away, we would encourage everyone to actually trial out Enable RMM. And if you download the QR code that you can see here on the screen, you'll receive a 14-day free trial. So it's well worth taking some time out to actually trial a product and see how you find it, see what works for you. After that, get in touch with myself, see what we can do for you, what works. If you've got any queries or questions about it, we're happy to help you out with that. But yeah, definitely encourage everyone here today to download the QR code and get a free early Christmas present on us and Enable. And also, and I'll probably bring Francesco back into this just so we can briefly talk about it, but Enable are currently running a Crack the Code promotion. And this is valid until the 31st of December. So again, there's no better time to actually download a trial of this product. And you won't probably find a better price for the product on the market while this offer's running. So Francesco, if you want to just briefly talk over it, obviously just tell them what it entails, and obviously if anyone wants to speak about it after in more detail, then obviously we can run through.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sean. So this Crack the Code is actually a pretty nice promotion, and it's composed of 2 parts. So first of all, as it says, we will beat the price of your current RMM use. So there's a couple of brands that we have listed, which are not now on the slide, but QBS is happy to mention this to you. That if you're using already this technology and you provide us an invoice, we will beat the price of that solution. If that vendor is not part of this list, then that's not a problem. You can still have access to the promotion. And basically, what the promotion is doing is that, let's say you want to start with 100 nodes, 200 nodes, right? And this 100 nodes have a value of, I don't know, I'm just making it up, right? So of 500 pounds, you get twice the amount. So you get another 1,000 pounds for 12 months to use on a different product from us, so which we call security credit. So let's say you pay 500 pounds, so you get 1,000 pounds of, for example, backup or EDR or Passportal. And it's a nice way to get products for free for 12 months. And within the 12 months, if you decide to, to keep them, then they will become billable at the end of the 12 months. If you don't want to keep them throughout the year, you just let us know and we will remove it. And there's no cost for you for this, right? But it's a great way to start not just with one product, but with several products. And as Sean mentioned, the promotion is running out on the 31st of December. So you need to place an order within December if you want to access this promotion. It has a commitment of 12 months and it's applicable only to new RMM or N-Central platform customers.
Thanks, Francesco. Yeah, and then on this page, again, if you do want to read up about the Enable Crack the MSP code promotion, then you can simply visit our website, which is info.qbsmsp.com/enable crack the MSP code, or alternatively, feel free to send myself an email. As you can see there, sean.bradley@qbsmsp.com, or you can alternatively send it to the sales@qbsmsp.com. But either way, I'd pick that up and, happy to speak in more detail about this deal, see what we can offer for you. Thanks everyone for joining, and Francesco, thanks for taking some time out your day today to run through the Enable products. And just to finish as well, when you do send an email, if not only is it RMM you can trial, if you're interested in backup or mail assure, then again, feel free to contact myself and we can set up trials for that as well. So yeah, if there's no further questions, thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much.